Hey everybody, how you doing? Woo! That's good. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games for the evening. And it was a big night of debuts and firsts for the Philadelphia Flyers. Bobby Brink, first 2 goals. Owen Tippett, first of the season. Louie Belpedio makes his Flyers debut, and making his PHLY Flyers debut, it's JP Zapata on tonight's postgame. And pretty decent game to be making your debut on, JP. What'd you think of that one?
I don't know, Bill. You might have to have me a little more often.
I think we're going to have to, man. Like, this is just getting out of control with this team. They finally have acknowledged they're rebuilding, and that makes us all happy. Oh, okay. You recognize you're not on a path to a Stanley Cup, but you're going to do something about it. First time maybe in franchise history. They immediately come out and win 4 of their first 6. This is absolute freaking insanity. And tonight's game, it was, just watching, I watched the first 2 periods at home. I come in after the second intermission. They're up 3-0, feeling good. It's immediately 3-2. I'm like, okay, so nice.
We
nice
almost kicked them out.
Yeah, like nice first 40 minutes. But Minnesota, better team. No, Flyers come right back and then end up winning this game 6-2. They just beat up a legitimate playoff contender in the Western Conference. I don't think anyone has Minnesota confused with Colorado or Vegas, but they're good.
Yeah.
They have Kirill Kaprizov, who is better than anybody on the Flyers roster, and they absolutely shut him down tonight. This is a fun team to watch. We have the Sixers the Sixers season opener going on at the same time. So we have a good crew in here tonight. Everyone kind of watching, and every time it's like, oh my God, did the Flyers score again? Like, yeah, this just keeps happening. This is a really fun team to watch.
Yeah, everyone was shocked to see it while we're all watching the Sixers. But no, going into the season, I was excited because of the fact that we actually had a direction. It's tough when you got Chucky Boy, running the ship, and he's making bad trade, bad contract negotiations, right? But at least now Danny's been cooking, right? Keithy seems to have a good head on his shoulders as well. I trust both of them. And more importantly, I love seeing some of the young guys. Well, obviously talk about Bobby Brink here tonight. What a great game, great first goal as well. But you see some of the younger players, and you can sprinkle in a Joel Farabee and Travis connecting to, who are still semi-young as well. And, dude, the future's bright with this team.
It really, really is. And that's, while the winning is fun right now, I still don't know if I'm going to, maybe I'm just being one of these, we talked about Phil's fans who were, like, afraid to, like, show that they were all in and hurt. So they're, like, bashing the team, and no, like, be all in. Like, that's being a fan. Maybe I'm being one of those cowardly people Charlie and I talked about the other day, because I'm like, they're going to start losing at some point. But, like, it's, as long as the front office, like you said, Danny Briere and Keith Jones, I keep quoting Jalen Hurts, keep the main thing the main thing.
It's good.
Look at, as long as they act as if the big picture is still what matters most, and that's rebuilding this thing. There's a lot worse you could have than a fun product and a team that has a chance to win every single night.
And you know what else too, Bill, is that we actually have a hockey team to watch. Like, you have, like, offensively, I mean, you saw the shots that they put on goal here today. They are tenacious. Having Coots back, having Cam Atkinson back as well has been so big for this team. But they look like a legitimate hockey team. So depending on how this season will end, we have a long season ahead of us. They actually look like a team, like a hockey team. Not an elite, but a hockey team.
But that's, like, Charlie and I talked about coming into the year and when they won their first couple. All right, like, if they're just getting killed every night, but Carter Hart's awesome, I guess that's cool, but it's not, this is not a sustainable, they're just going to win a couple extra games and it's not really going to matter for anything. they are absolutely dominating teams for long stretches of times. Like, you talk about the shots that they're allowing. Through 30 minutes tonight, they gave up 5 shots on goal. They had another game where they gave up, I think, 1 shot on their on the power plays against. They have been excellent. I think they came into the game averaging 27 shots against, which was top 5 in the league. They end up giving up 28 to Minnesota tonight, but that is not a huge total. I mean, it's under 30, and you led most of the game. Minnesota did make their push, and the Flyers were able to answer right back. They really do look like a legitimate team right now, and there was an element tonight that has been missing. While they've been playing well, the power play has been horrible. They were about 5%. They were 1 for 20 coming into tonight. Of course, they go 2 for 3, and the one they don't score on at the end, it seemed like the point was kind of, let's see if we can get Bobby Brink this hat trick. They just kept looking for Brink a little bit, which they're supposed to do in that situation.
Give it to the kid.
I can't remember the last time I enjoyed watching them this much, where they play fast, they have a good mix of young and old guys. I guess now I have to bring up Travis Sanheim, because there was still like 5 minutes left when I checked his time on ice. I want to know what he finished. He finished with 27-36. Came into the game second in the league in total time on ice. Scores a goal, has 2 assists. He has been excellent, and we've been joking because he's won the Flyers Most Improved trophy 2 times before, which is hilarious when you think about it. Like, as he develops into what appears to be a number 1 defenseman, we're like, can he win it 3 times? We've joked about that. We've joked about him winning the best defenseman trophy for the team. Dude looks like he is going to be in the running for best defenseman in the league. He is a Norris Trophy contender right now. Again, still super freaking early. But at what point isn't it early? Like, at what point do we stop saying, well, it's a small sample size? Now, when I ask Charlie that question, he'll have an answer. It's 10 games. After 10 games, he starts to say, okay, the sample is big enough that we can start projecting. But I love what I'm seeing out of Travis Sanheim. I did not know he had this in him.
Yeah, but more importantly, like, him taking over that number 1 defensive spot after Provorov left, that's exactly what you wanted to see. Maybe that's where you get your most improved player. My thing here tonight, the Vegas game, after the Vegas game, right? So we get the call off. We'll talk about that in a second. But the defensively, so far this year, hasn't been the strongest. But tonight, like you mentioned, keeping those shots on goal low through the first 30 minutes. Now, with that being said, you have to be able to play a full 3 periods, and that has been something that's been eluding from this team. Obviously, as we discussed, Bill walks in. They score 2 unanswered goals right off the bat. And so that's the type of stuff, though, that they have to clean up. And that's stuff of young teams.
It is. I was happy to see, like, one, you mentioned the Vegas game. That's a tough one.
Right.
They thought they had the undefeated defending champs beaten in Vegas. Then we're at least going to get this to overtime. They lose it in regulation, and with 32 seconds left, heartbreaker.
Sucks, man.
They come out and answer right away. And I really, I am a... While I am a progressive hockey fan, I very much believe in the advanced analytics and all that nonsense.
Okay.
I fucking love the fights. I still love the fights, man. My favorite hockey player of all time is an enforcer, and tonight, right off the bat, Pat Maroon and Nick Delorier dropped the gloves.
Dude, like 12 seconds?
2 seconds. It was 2 seconds in off the opening faceoff. And I just loved what I saw right away. Like, after that fight, Flyers take a 6-1 shot lead. I'm like, this is why you have this guy. And
where did that stem from? Like, these two, like, picking this fight early on.
I think it's like, I don't believe Delorier has a fight yet this season. I think this was his first. He's out there. He's up again. He's lined up on the faceoff against Pat Maroon, who's just a big oaf too. Like,
sure.
I think it's just a couple of guys who are like, we know why we're out here.
Nothing to do with Nick's pass with Minnesota.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Maroon was part of the Flyers organization. They did draft him and traded him before he became an NHL player. I don't know if there's anything there with Delorier and the Wild, but I just think it's 2 guys who kind of know their role. Like, let's get this building going right away. Let's try to give our team something right away. And the Flyers responded. They came out and looked strong from the opening faceoff after that fight. And I just had to throw that out there. Tonight, Nick Delorier, one of my heroes, but the hero of this show, always Hero bread. Listen, I think we can all stand to be a little healthier, make some better decisions. This time of year, a lot of sports going on. I know I often end up drinking quite a few of my calories and carbs, and that's where Hero bread comes in, because no matter what you're looking to make yourself, there's Hero bread options for you. Hero makes sliced breads, buns, and tortillas that are available on hero.co and Amazon. I've been on a big quesadilla kick lately. I'm a big fan of the Hero tortillas that they provided us with. But all their products have hit the spot for me because Hero bread has great taste and texture. It's soft, fluffy, and delicious. And right now, Hero bread is running a promotion for PHLY listeners. You have a discount code for 10% off at hero.co. Use discount code PHLY for that 10% off. That's right. Hero Bread is offering the PHLY fam 10% off their first order. Just go to hero.co and use our code PHLY to save on Hero Bread today. That's HERO.co to save 10% today. There was a lot of, like I mentioned at the top, a lot of firsts, but I really, really want to spotlight Bobby Brink in this one because he's been so close to breaking out. He's picked up a few assists along the way. And this was a dude who, there were quite a few questions about what his viability as an NHL player was going to be coming into this season. He gets a little look a couple years ago in the NHL, right when he's done college. Looked like he belonged. Suffers an injury. Last year, all reports are, he scored some points with the Phantoms, but he's basically skating with a limp. We don't know what this guy has. Comes into camp, looks like he really put into work, challenges for a roster spot, ends up earning a roster spot, and Charlie and I were a little skeptical. Just, all right, is he on a heater? Is he on a heater in the preseason? It's not exactly NHL competition out there. This guy is one of the Flyers' best players, legitimately. He is one of their scoring chance leaders. He makes things happen on the ice, gets his first 2 of the year. And something I didn't even think about, he's up against the Minnesota Wild tonight. He's from Minnetonka, Minnesota.
Hey,
he was born the July following the Wild's first season. So he actually did grow up with the Wild. Okay. So I'm listening on the radio on my way here. And I'm like, no, they're not his childhood team. They probably didn't even exist when he was a child. And then I was like, oh, no, shit, I'm old. He's young. They definitely did exist when he was a kid. In fact, he wasn't even alive for their first season. So this is the team he grew up with, is like his hometown team. Gets his first 2 goals of the year. And I've really, really liked what I'm seeing out of Brink. And of all the young players, he has been the most impressive by far.
Yeah, I see him out there, and it does feel like there's a veteran guy playing with amongst you guys, and he's along the line here, on the same line with Noah Cates and Joel Farabee. So I love having that youth and that speed out there as well. Good to see him on that power play. He timed that perfectly as well, put it right through the 5-hole. But this is stuff that we absolutely need to see more players, young players like Bobby Brink, taking advantage of that opportunity. Situations happen, like him getting injured, and he took advantage of that opportunity. You see what's going on right now. By the way, I love the comment section we got going on. Justin Clifford saying, if Bobby keeps playing like this, we're going to need to back up the Brink struck for him.
Absolutely. There's going to be a lot of fun things you can do on social media with his name. Butcher Gross throughout the game tonight kept reminding everyone his middle name is Orr. So his name is Bobby Orr Brink, which I did not. I feel like I had to have known that, but when he mentioned it last time they were on Hulu, and we'll talk about the whole ESPN thing plus later, ESPN plus thing, somehow that escaped me that his name is Bobby Orr Brink, but he's absolutely looking like an Orr-esque playmaker out there. I'm just very happy for the kid, and I won't say looked at like kind of a missed opportunity when. Okay, he looked strong. He had a nice college career, and then he falls off a little his first full year as a pro. You're like, all right, well, 2nd-round pick. I guess it's not that big of a loss, but we really kind of need to hit on these, and especially the later round picks. You need to have a few of these dudes that hit. He has already, and there don't seem to be any signs of him slowing down.
And how many years do we have prospects either show you promise and then they fall off, or they just don't show you anything in general? But, you look at Bobby Brink, Tyson Forrester, Cam York, you're seeing guys taking advantage of their opportunities. And this is a great learning experience as well.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what we're talking about. You're seeing a team that looks like an actual NHL team. And these young kids are benefiting from it, especially playing with a lot of these veteran players that you have here too. I love what you said there. I love the mixture of the veteran leadership with the youth, because I think that to me, like, I don't like going process Sixers and throwing just like a bunch of young kids out there, because like they're going to the heat of fire, but like there's not a veteran guy like saying like, you're okay, you're good. Like you need that in the back of your mind.
And one that was huge, and I think on one of Charlie's most recent stories, it might have been a Die Hard only story about Travis Sanheim assuming this role. And when he had a big mistake in the Ottawa game, the second game of the year, he was just kind of feeling it. He just kept watching it on the iPad, and he was clearly in his head about it. And Mark Stahl goes up to him and he goes, dude, Control-Alt-Delete. Like, got to have that short memory. And that served him well because Sanheim's looked great. And it's that sort of leadership that, listen, do we want to watch a bunch of old dudes on this team when they tell us they're rebuilding? No. But to your point about this winning culture that they seem to be building, like I've made the comparison with the process Sixers. If you're going to try to develop young players, it probably shouldn't be me or you running the point. Maybe you can play a little bit, but I definitely shouldn't. Like it shouldn't be, oh yeah, let's pull a guy out of the stands and then see if we can develop someone like next to him. You probably can't because the dude next to him is no good. I think that was kind of the thought process coming into this season. Like, yes, we're going to rebuild, but we're not trying to go 0-82.
Right, no.
Like, we're going to give these young guys chances, and we're going to give them chances with veterans so that they can play off each other. This team's going to be faster and younger and more athletic so that the veterans have a chance to actually keep up. And the young, fast guys, well, we're going to put someone who actually knows what they're doing in the NHL next to them, and they're both kind of complementing each other. And that's really what we're seeing with Sean Couturier right now. He's been absolutely fantastic for them since coming back. Basically missed 2 full. He might be getting that C at some point. He might be.
He's looking like a leader out there, too.
He really, really has been looking the role, has a goal and an assist tonight. Only ends up playing about 15 minutes. Like, they didn't even use him all that much. Now, there was a lot of special teams time, especially at the end, but it's pretty even distribution of minutes amongst all the forwards. And I think it's a great sign that Sean Couturier, for the last couple of years that he's been healthy, it's like, oh yeah, 18 to 22 minutes every single night. He's going to be, it's him or maybe Giroux first and second leading the team in ice time, at least amongst the forwards. You see Bobby Brink out there, 17:46. You see Noah Cates, 15:38, basically the same as Couturier.
I think that second line got the most play.
And Farabee, 16:23. It looks like that line got the most ice time. And at the intermission, I think after the first period, it was John Tortorella saying, "Oh yeah, I'm using that Noah Cates line against their top line." And like, that's been Sean Couturier when he's been out there. It's like, oh yeah, set it and forget it. Couturier, especially like at home when you get the matchup advantage, their first line out there, Couturier's out there. Now they have options. Like, and it's what we saw when they developed Noah Cates last year. He got the opportunity because they basically had no centers, so someone had to play. And he really showed something. And now, man, it's, oh yeah, well, when they're good, maybe he's a 3C. If that's the case, they're going to be awesome, because if that's a third line right now, I mean, Brink, Farabee, and Cates has been fantastic, and I really, really like the chemistry that's been developing between between Brink and Farabee. Like, I always think of duos. Like, if you can have a Lindros and a Leclerc, and it's like we have those two guys together, they're going to create something. If we can have a Jake and a G together, and they're going to create something, and then we figure out the rest of the lineup. I don't know if I just named 2 guys who should be in the Hall of Fame, 3 who should be and then Jake Voracek, who was damn good too.
For sure.
I don't know if Farabee and Brink are going to be that, but they really look like they have some potential as a duo.
If they do play like that, Bill, we're right on track. If they play it to that level, because I mean, obviously, you see the speed, you see the scoring ability that both those guys have. If you can get that type of duo, that'd be huge as well.
It really, really would, and that's. I mean, just looking at how far Noah Cates has come since last year, when I think anyone outside of Charlie was like, "Who the hell is this guy?" Like, really, this like 4th or 5th round pick? Like, this is the guy we think is going to be one of our next prospects, and he absolutely has been. But I'm gonna have to share my 3 stars of the game now.
Okay,
I'm gonna go. Coming in at number 3, I got to go with Travis Sanheim. Has the 3 points, plays over 27 minutes again. Sure. Dude has been an absolute force. Mentioned Sean Couturier earlier. He's going to be my 2nd star of the game. Goal and an assist. It's his. I'm on the radio on the way in. They mentioned it's his first regular goal of the season because his first goal was a penalty shot. The dude has been a monster, especially at home. He looks like he hasn't really missed any time. I mean, he basically missed 2 full seasons, and it was, all right, he's going to need to work his way back in. We'll see how this goes. Oh, no, he's been Sean Couturier basically from the start. And then number 1, how can it not be Bobby Brink?
Bobby.
He's been fantastic. A revelation for this team. It was like
came out of nowhere.
Coming in, it was, Tyson Forster's got this wrapped up. And then also, is Brink challenging? Is this a competition? And now they've figured out a way to get both into the lineup. Now it is coming at the expense of Morgan Frost, and I want to ask Charlie about that when he joins us. But hard to argue with what's going on right now. They've run into elite or at least playoff Western Conference contending team after team on this streak they're on, and they have beaten them or at least looked competitive against them every single night. It's hard to say that they need to change this lineup.
And did you see John Tortorella's reaction to Brink's goal?
Oh, he was happy.
Listen, I don't know how many times I've seen, especially in Philly, he's been that happy towards a player. When that happens, you know it's real. You know it's real with Bobby Brink. He's got love for Bobby.
John Tortorella tonight was, I don't know, maybe that. Did you see the dummy, the Night of the Living dummy behind him on the bench? That was so fucking weird. But whatever had him fired up tonight.
Jeff Dunham was there.
Yeah, when Owen Tippett scored, he came up behind Tippett after the breakaway goal, was giving him a big pat on the back. I was like, he doesn't give verbal pats on the back, let alone physical. Way to go, buddy. Way to go. He might start. John Tortorella might have started believing in this team. From what I saw at it, just his exuberance tonight. And we'll talk to Charlie about that as well, because he'll have covered the press conference by the time we talk to him. But dude is doing a hell of a job coaching a group that I thought was going to be one of the 5 worst teams in hockey. I do think we have to give it up for the coach as well.
Yeah, I mean, we all know Torts and his style. It's tough nose. It's a little bit old school. But, with some of these young kids, and they're going to need that discipline. I mean, John Tortorella is definitely the perfect guy for that. And I don't know, maybe John softening up as well, because I've never seen that, especially towards a young player like Bobby Brink. I'll take a little jolly Tortorella. I'm in. It's
pretty cool to see, and you can even see it through a pair of Shady Rays, fam. Gear up for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium Polaroid shades and quick swap snow goggles that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers an unrivaled product that's just as good as any expensive pair we've worn. Durable frames and world-class optics for all outdoor adventures. Listen, I've told you many times before, I've been spending way too much money on sunglasses lately. We got these Shady Rays, and I feel like a damn dummy. Because I'm like, what have I been doing this whole time? I could just get these. Listen, they're as good or better than any polarized glasses out there, without a doubt. And that's not all. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. Wear your Shady Rays with confidence, because they have your back long after you purchase. If you don't love your Shady Rays, and you will, but I'm supposed to say this, but you will love your Shady Rays. If you don't love your Shady Rays, exchange for a new pair or return them for free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back with personal and fast support. And exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out an amazing deal for the season. Go to shadyrays.com and use code PHLY for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. It's very funny just thinking about the perception of this team coming into the season and how everyone I've talked to so far tonight is like, shit, am I gonna have to start paying? Like, am I gonna have to break out some of my Flyers gear? Like, I'm gonna have to dust off the jersey? Like, oh man, I got a Braden Shen, huh? I guess I gotta get this updated. Listen, you got the Shen number 10. You can get that changed to Brink, no problem. I'm gonna have to go visit my my local jersey personalizer. Be like, I need the name off. Need Brink on there. But I am very excited for people to get on this bandwagon, and the place you can start getting on that bandwagon this Saturday, Wells Fargo Center, Lot F, starting at 10 a.m. We're gonna have our big official first tailgate for PHLY Flyers. What's that?
Little beer moses?
Oh, there's going to be everything going on. Our buddy Dylan at Philaticus on Twitter. If you don't know Dylan, grill master. He is actually, because the Flyers are taking on the Ducks on Saturday, he's going to be grilling up some duck for us. He's got all sorts of stuff. Oh, he's got some big plans. If you've never been to one of Dylan's tailgates, you're missing out. We had one last year with Broad Street Hockey, and it was... I was like, I'm not going into the game. As long as you're out here making food, I'm going to be out here with you. That's how good it was. We're going to have beverages for everybody. It's totally free. There's a link. You can find it on our Twitter page just to register so we get an idea who's going. Charlie will have more on the tailgate when we talk to him. It's funny thinking about what I thought the story of tonight's game was going to be. It's like, oh, they sent Emil Andrae down. He's not ready. I get it. They do have like 2 young defensemen who are pretty close to making the team in Adam Ginning and Ronnie Attard. And they decided to bring up, I won't call them veterans, but a couple of older guys than the prospects they have. Louie Belpedio gets the start tonight, and he seemed fine. Like he played, I think, the 5th most minutes amongst the defense, and no glaring mistakes, I wouldn't say. Just kind of an afterthought at this point when they play a game I really like it when the roster decisions aren't going to be the main topic of conversation, because that's going to be like the main point of the show for most of this year. So when we can actually talk about the game and not the decisions before it, I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I mean, defensively, I still think we need to see some more, and obviously we'll see with Belpedio how long he'll be in there, but I mean, really would love to see a little Rasmus Ristolainen out there, especially after the year he had last year. We'll see what the update is with that injury coming forward, but we all know how NHL injuries do work as well. But no, I mean, obviously tonight it was about the offense. It was about the power play. But you know what is crazy to me is I remember hearing Chuck Fletcher's press conferences, and he used to always talk about how like the power play kill was terrible even before he got here. Well, I mean, right now, knock on wood, they're a top 15 power play kill right now in the league.
They've been excellent.
That to me is shocking in its own right.
And it's, a lot of how they've played defense, because we see tonight when teams do get set up in the offensive zone, it's like, oh, they're stuck. I think there was one Sanheim shift tonight where everyone was stuck out there for like 3 minutes. They had to ice the puck. It was everyone just like hands on their knees, kind of dead. When they are set up like in their defensive zone, they still have a lot of lapses. They have a ways to go there. So much of their defense is done in the neutral zone and in shutting down breakouts in the actual offensive zone. That's where they do so much of their work defensively. Yeah. The defensive zone is where they do have to, I think that is where so much of their work has to be done still. But for some reason, the penalty kill is excellent. And that's all. You're going to lose the face-off because, that's just how it works. And then they're set up. But somehow they're able to defend in that way and really cut down on shot attempts. And there's very little bad to say about this team right now, except, I don't think they're getting a top 5 pick. That's it. That's the worst thing I can say about this team is I don't think they're getting a top 5 pick.
Absolutely not. So, I mean, the beginning of third period, they allowed those 2 goals Minnesota did. When we allowed Minnesota to score those 2 goals, I should say. It really just felt like they kind of allowed the foot to go off the gas pedal a little bit there. I think that's really all it was, because I thought for the majority of, especially after Owen Tippett got that fourth goal, for the majority of it, they played with intensity throughout the entire
They really,
game.
really did. And we've seen it a few times, especially I thought it really stood out in the Vegas game. Like, the Flyers work their asses off and get some chances and control play, say for like 10 out of 12 minutes. And then the other team just has 2 minutes where it's like, oh yeah, we're better than you. And they generate just as many chances in those 2 minutes as the Flyers did in 10. And all right, teams can just kind of take the game back from them a little bit. And it looked like that was what was happening in the third. But then no, Owen Tippett gets that breakaway, scores first of the year. Way to go, OT.
Talk about first.
That was that was one of the bets I had tonight, and I'll do the DraftKings read in a second. But my had what 5? I went 2 and 3 tonight.
Okay.
But I had Bobby Brink over half a point, and that was plus money. Owen Tippett over half a point, and I wanted to take him to score, but he's just been picking up so many assists. I was like, I'm not getting burned again. I'm going to take him just on a point at minus 105. He picks it up. My Kaprizov and Hartman props didn't do as well, but that's awesome. When the other team's best players don't score, you probably win, and that's what happened tonight. I always take former Flyers to score, though, and Ryan Hartman coming into town, I was like, oh, done. Absolutely, this is happening. But no, was not to be. A couple more things I wanted to get to before we end up talking to Charlie. Do you have any sort of, this is all well and good, but maybe they should be a little more focused on the rebuild aspect of this?
No, not per se. And I was going to say as well, one thing I would keep an eye out for, because we've seen the Flyers get off to quick starts the past couple of years.
We
kind of have seen how that ended. But when I do generally watch this team, I do see a better hockey team than what I've seen over the past couple of years. In the younger players, I mean, especially a lot of these younger players, and obviously we have to wait for Morgan Frost to come back as well. But a lot of these younger players have played last year with this team.
They did, yeah.
And so now it's another chapter. I think Charlie said it perfectly. We were looking at possibly a 4 to 5 year rebuild. If we could shrink that down to 2 to 3 years, I mean, that's obviously the best case scenario. But I think that what you're seeing from the young players and the way Tortorella has been handling these guys, I really feel confident about it. But obviously, we still have to wait a little bit more. The Metro is always tricky, and it's really weird this year. But I mean, this team is going to be a tough outing on a night-to-night basis. It's whether they can play a full 3 periods or not, and that's been a struggle. Obviously, Vegas is Vegas, but they got to finish games, Sal.
They got to finish games, and listen, that's how hard is it when you're, I don't know, watching final couple minutes, and it's just like, man, holding on to that point spread. Well, that's the beauty of betting football. The NFL season is going strong, and DraftKings Sportsbook is hooking new customers up with an offer that's even stronger. Bet $5 on any game this week to score $200 instantly in bonus bets, and DraftKings isn't stopping there. All customers can take advantage of a sweetener offer every game day this October. Tonight was an NFL game day. We just saw Buffalo play. Who were they up against? Tampa. It was Buffalo and Tampa tonight. I did not see if they were covering or not. I got a bunch of texts that Buffalo sucks. So maybe they did not cover that 8.5 at home. But maybe you're looking more to Sunday. Can the Commies keep it closer than a touchdown against Philly? They did take them to overtime last time. Just saying, whatever action you're looking for, game spreads, player props. Me personally, I'm a teaser guy. DraftKings has the offerings you're looking for. Get in on the game day greatness. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code PHLY. New customers can score $200 instantly in bonus bets when you bet $5 on the NFL. That's code PHLY only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. The crown is yours.
Frank Kramer, I just have a quick question here. So what is a legit rebuild to you, sir?
Let me get to the disclaimer real quick. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, licensee partner, Golden Nugget, Lake Charles. 21 plus age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 100 to 68 hours after issuance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. That is I think this is a big mistake, and this team should be doing a legit rebuild. I mean, like, what mistake are they making, though, Frank? Like, they have rookies in the lineup every night, and the team is, shoot to miss the net? Is that what we should be telling guys? Like, they're going out and playing hard. That's what you want from your team. I think a lot of people, simply because they refuse to say they were rebuilding, forget that 2 years ago, the Flyers were the 4th worst team in hockey, picked 5th.
Yep.
Last year, they were the 7th worst team in hockey, picked 7th.
Right.
Those are 2 legit high-end picks. Like, Matvei Michkov should have gone somewhere between 2 and 4, and they got him at 7. I realize they didn't pick there, but he should have been taken, so they got him. You can't do it forever. Like, if the young players that they do have are performing, like, if this was just like, oh, yeah, Cam Atkinson has 9 goals and he shouldn't have any, and like, okay, yeah, that's a bad rebuild. You're doing a bad job. But if Noah Cates is going to be the goddamn, like, proponent of this thing,
Bobby Brink.
like, yeah, Bobby Brink, like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You can't tell them to miss the net on purpose. We have Charlie. All right, joining us now, Philadelphia's #1 hockey beat reporter, Charlie O'Connor. What's going on tonight, Chuck?
Charlie.
You got us, my friend? I don't know if he can hear us. Oh, I can't hear him. That's the problem. Charlie. We've lost him.
Well, we'll get him, guys.
Yeah, we'll get him back. But I just have a couple.
I was just gonna say, I just don't want to be the Ducks. That's all. I don't.
The Ducks have a bunch of good young players, and they're still losing.
Yeah.
Like, how many of those guys do you need? Buffalo has been doing this for how long? Like, Rasmus Dahlin was a long time ago. He's got his big contract already. Like, they still haven't made the playoffs, and he's making $10 million. Like, how long can you do this for?
Yeah.
Listen, I would love to have a #1 overall pick join these guys, but maybe the next high-end player they get is a free agent or someone they acquire in a trade. I keep saying these are the Flyers. As much as they say they're committed to this,
yeah,
they're going to go out and buy it. Like, oh, man, we're selling tickets. This team has a chance to make the play. It's not going to happen this year. I'd be shocked if they go out and buy someone like at the deadline. But they're going to buy a free agent at some point. Yeah. Like, there's going to be some big restricted free agents coming up that they could offer sheet. Elias Pettersson is the guy I have my eye on because he has not signed in Vancouver yet.
Right. That's
but they're gonna go out and maybe, the high end guy they get next ain't a draft pick, and that's not horrible.
Right. And if they continue on the trajectory as well, I mean, the Flyers are still the Flyers. The problem is right now they just don't look like a legit organization. But if they continue on this path, players are going to want to come back to Philly again. It's bound to happen, and we're obviously going to be able to dish the dough as well.
And we're seeing it in baseball and football. It will happen here too. This is an awesome sports town. You are a hero here. Like, it's not like you go to LA and it's like, yeah, there's movie stars here. Like, I have a nice life and all, but I pay for all my own drinks. Like, ask Jason Kelce where he wants to be. It's here. Ask Bryce Harper where he wants to be. It's here. I think that could be a thing with the Flyers as well sometime kind of soon. All right, looks like we have Charlie O'Connor this time. What's up, Charlie?
All right, I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yes, we have you. I can hear you. We are joined by Philadelphia's #1 hockey beat reporter, Charlie O'Connor. Chuck, just a couple of questions for you. First of all, playoffs?
Playoffs? I mean, hey, you know what? It's nice to dream, right? One thing I will say is that we talked to Tortorella after the game, of course we did, and it's noteworthy that Tortorella is, despite the fact that obviously they're off to a really good start, and this isn't a mirage type start in the sense that they're winning games but not playing well. Like, they're legitimately playing well. They outplayed the Minnesota Wild tonight. They hung with Vegas Golden Knights, Dallas Stars over the last 2 games. They outplayed the Edmonton Oilers. They outplayed the Vancouver Canucks. So this isn't a case of them stumbling into wins. But John Tortorella made it clear that he's like, we're going to lose some games. we're going to lose 3-4 games in the future with what we're trying to build. And it's going to be interesting to see how this group responds when we lose those games. So, like, John Tortorella is still speaking like a coach who knows that this isn't like going to be what is going to happen throughout the entire season. We're not talking to a coach and, like, for example, it's not like John Tortorella is going in these post-game press conferences and basically spending them dunking on everyone who thought the Flyers were going to stink.
He was one of the people who thought that.
Yeah, he's going into these press conferences being like, hey, this is great, and I'm loving the way we're playing, but this isn't the way it's going to be forever. And I think the fact that if that's what the coach is saying publicly, I think, like, we should take a little bit of a step back. It's okay to be excited, but take a little bit of a step back and recognize that, like, they're not going to keep this up most likely.
No, I mean, I doubt they're going to continue to play with and defeat legitimate playoff contenders and some of the best teams out west. But, like, looking back at that Vegas game and the way it ended, I was very interested to see how they responded and how they started tonight. Did anybody post-game mention Delorier starting with the fight as a catalyst for tonight's effort?
Yeah, I mean, I think Owen Tippett talked a little bit about it. I think it was because he was asked about it. Look, I am on record as saying that I enjoy fighting. I am also on record as saying I hate stage fights. I absolutely despise them. So that entire fight, I basically just spent the whole thing rolling my eyes. If that helped them get pumped, sure, I guess. To me, the fights that get me pumped as a hockey fan are the ones where they happen organically. They don't happen where, I mean, apparently these two guys were just, like, shooting the shit at center ice during warm-ups and just like, hey, you want to fight when the puck drops? Yeah, sure, let's do it. Like, to me, that's I don't like that. I think that is dumb, but fans in the stands like fighting, so sure. To me, what was more interesting was the fact that a lot of the players noted, Travis Sanheim did, John Tortorella spent a lot of time talking about it. They were worried about how the team was going to respond to the trip, about the fact that they were coming back from the West Coast, that this first game back from a West Coast run, it's tough because your body isn't fully acclimated to the time zone yet. It's a long trip. And he felt like the team honestly did a better job of dealing with the difficulties of coming back from a long road trip. He thought they did a much better job than he was even expecting. And I think that speaks to just the number one, the conditioning, the degree to which these guys are in shape as a team. And number two, it just shows that they're a together bunch. And hey, if stage fights like the one Delorier did 2 seconds into the game help that, then sure, why not?
I love how Charlie says he hates staged fighting, and I'm wearing a professional wrestling T-shirt. Find that very fun. I want to ask you about Travis Sanheim because you mentioned him, Charlie. Yeah. And we've been joking about the Lindbergh, the most improved trophy. I picked him to win the Ashby. I mean, forget all this. Dude's going to win the Norris.
Hey, he's over a point per game now.
27 minutes again. He's dominating.
No, he looks really good. In all honesty, I actually thought until the third period when I thought he was really good, I actually thought that this game was one of his weaker games all around. He made more mistakes in this game than I've seen in most games. And the fact that this was one of his weaker games in my mind, at least until the third period when obviously he had the really nice goal, had a really nice defensive play to set up what I believe was the second Brink goal before Farabee made that really good pass. He had a really good defensive play there. So I thought his third period was great. But the fact that to me this was one of his weaker games and he played 27 minutes largely against guys like Kirill Kaprizov and more than held his own, it speaks to how strong of a start he's having. Yeah, I did a feature on Travis Sanheim, published it late last night. Obviously, if you're a diehard member, read it. If you're not, why aren't you a diehard member? Why don't you just subscribe and get our stuff? But it really goes into the details of why he's off to this kind of fast start. And I do think he deserves a lot of credit. John Tortorella actually mentioned this after the game. He deserves a lot of credit for responding so positively to what was a really awful season last year, and then an off season where he legitimately almost got traded. He was in trade rumors. If Torrey Krug waives that no trade clause, Travis Sanheim is in St. Louis right now. And it would have been very easy for Travis Sanheim to, number one, go into last offseason and be like, coach hates me. I'm already getting paid. My contract kicks in on July 1st. I'm just going to relax this summer. Like, who cares? It also would have been very easy for him to respond to the trade rumors. They try to trade him, 5 days before his no trade clause kicks in, just be like, you know what, screw this team. They don't want me. I don't want to be here. I'm not going to give it my all. Instead, he rededicated himself. He puts on 15 pounds of really, and it's obvious watching it. It's pure muscle. I mean, this dude is a lot stronger than he was last year. He had a great offseason, and he came in with the right attitude. And guess what? Say what you will about John Tortorella and his treatment of guys like Morgan Frost. That's fair. I would like to see Morgan Frost playing as well. However, Travis Sanheim this year exemplifies the fact that John Tortorella is willing to change his mind on a player. Because John Tortorella did not think highly of Travis Sanheim last year at all. The guy scratched him for a game where his entire family and friends were in the stands in Calgary. Like, these guys did not get along last year. And now no one is singing Travis Sanheim's praises more than John Tortorella. No one is giving anybody, he's not giving any of the defensemen any more minutes than Travis Sanheim. He gave him 27 minutes. He's given Travis Sanheim 25 minutes plus in his last 4 games. Like, John Tortorella can change his mind on a player, and Travis Sanheim is earning it. I mean, he deserves to change his mind on Travis Sanheim because he's been great.
Charlie, real quick, JP over here. First off, your seat's very comfortable over here in the studio, but in all seriousness, we want to talk about the man of the night, Bobby Brink. Just realistically going forward, what is the expectations Flyers fans should have for Bobby?
Well, this is a guy who was one of the top scorers. I believe he was the top scorer in his final year of college hockey. In college hockey, he's a talented player. He's got tons of skill. He's a great playmaker. He's got good vision. The big question for him was, and this is the reason why he slipped to the second round when he was drafted. It's the reason why the Flyers were able to get him where they did. He's not big, and while he's not slow, he has a weird skating stride that soured a lot of teams, because there's a general feeling among NHL teams, and I don't think it's completely unwarranted, that if you're going to be small, you got to be really fast. And Bobby Brink is definitely more quick than fast, in part because he just has an odd skating stride that doesn't allow him to have the sort of speed that, the real burners who are small have. And the question was whether that was going to be exposed at the NHL level, whether his lack of size and his lack of an elite skating gear was going to be exposed at the top level. Well, what we're seeing so far is that it hasn't been. Maybe it was a little bit in his first audition 2 years ago after he got signed. He looks very much like in time with the pace of the NHL. He's not getting overwhelmed physically. This is a guy who looks like the guy who dominated college hockey. And I'm not saying Bobby Brink is going to be a star. I don't think he's going to be a star. But this guy certainly looks like a darn good second-line winger to me right now.
Charlie, you mentioned second-line winger, and I'm just looking at the ice time breakdown tonight. Sean Couturier did not lead the forwards. It was Cates, Brink, and Farabee's line that ended up leading the forwards in ice time tonight. And John Tortorella said, I think at one of the intermissions, oh yeah, I'm using them a lot against the top line, and they're looking good out there. Flyers keep Kaprizov off the score sheet tonight. Thanks a lot to my bets on Kaprizov. But what can you make of the developing chemistry between Brink, Cates, and especially Brink and Farabee?
I really like that line. Obviously, that pass from Farabee to Brink was, and obviously Brink got the goal. He deserved it. But he didn't have to do a lot aside from get to the right spot. Joel Farabee hit him in the perfect spot where all he really had to do was put his stick down and it's going in the net. It was a beautiful pass. Love the chemistry they have, and I continue to really, really like what I see out of Noah Cates this year. I loved his first shift of the game. The puck gets in deep. They have the puck in the offensive zone for maybe 5-10 seconds. It looks like for sure Minnesota is going to get the puck out of the zone. I didn't think there was a chance in hell they were keeping that puck in. Noah Cates just harasses the defenseman from behind, somehow ties up his stick enough. Do they create a major scoring chance out of that shift? No. They kept the puck in the offensive zone for another 25 seconds, and that's what they were doing the entire game. Well, not the entire game, but certainly the entire first 30 minutes of the game. They were just working the Minnesota Wild to death, and somebody like Noah Cates is exactly the type of, I don't think he's a future captain because I don't think he has that personality. But you're talking about a guy who, if you're talking about guys who are going to lead by example, Noah Cates is that type of guy. He is such a hard worker, both on and off the ice. And you saw it in this game. He's kind of the perfect center for two skilled guys like Farabee and Brink, to be honest.
That's, we talked a lot last year, can Cates develop into kind of a Couturier light sort of guy where he just always has his stick in those right places and is able to kill opposing rushes. he does so much of that in the offensive zone. So much of what Couturier has mastered in the neutral zone, I think that he's been really impressive to me. But I got to talk about this power play for a second, Chuck, because they came into the game 1 for 20 on the power play, and their one was on a 5-on-3. They scored 2 tonight. Their first 2 5-on-4 goals of the season. Is this just some regression? Like, you're going to score some power play goals eventually. You have more guys than the other team. You're going to get some. Or do you think they're starting to, maybe with Bobby Brink down in that, like, Jake Voracek spot on the right side, they're starting to get something going where they might be a little better than we thought?
Well, I thought the first goal was the best sign, where you have get pucks to the net, Sean Couturier out muscles Jonas Berdine, who's essentially their number one defenseman right now with Spurgeon out. That's the kind of goal where you're like, okay, that's something you can replicate. You got Cam Atkinson taking shots. You have Travis Sanheim up top, just being a facilitator up top. And you got Sean Couturier doing Sean Couturier things, winning puck battles and making plays down low. That, to me, is something you can replicate. Second goal is a little bit more what you were saying about it being regression to the mean. Sean Couturier is trying to get the puck up to the point. It bounces off the official skate and goes right to Bobby Brink, who's wide open in front. Like, that's the kind of goal that, that's the reason why no power play finishes at 5.2% over a long season, because you're going to get a few of those. You have one more guy on the ice than the other team does. If it takes a weird bounce, you're going to be more likely to get the puck because you have one more guy to chase it down. And that's what happened on that play. Now, credit to Bobby Brink. He made a good move, scores the goal, finishes off the play. But I would say that there were positive signs because they had the puck in the offensive zone more. That first goal I liked a lot because, again, you have multiple guys doing what they're supposed to do for the power play to succeed. The second goal, though, that's a little more fluky, and that's a little bit more like, oh, yeah, that's why teams are just going to, even truly awful power plays, are going to luck into power play goals once in a while.
Listen, I know it might have looked like luck, but we're talking about Couturier, one of the highest hockey IQs in the league, and Brink. We keep hearing about his IQ and his vision. Wouldn't be shocked if they meant to do it, Charlie. It's all I'm saying.
It was an intentional bank pass off the official, yeah.
Yeah, listen, sometimes you set up a trick play. Louie Belpedio, what'd you make of him in his Flyers debut?
He was fine. He actually got a lot more ice time than I thought he was going to. I think that speaks to it speaks to the fact that Torts liked his game. He was actually asked about Belpedio after the game. He said he thought he was solid all around. I think also some of that probably played into the fact that Igor Zamola didn't have a great shift on, I think it was Minnesota's second goal. And I think Zamola's minutes got cut a little bit after that. And I think Belpedio was a guy who probably benefited from that. Belpedio was fine. Look, there's a reason why he's 27 years old and still isn't an NHL regular, because he doesn't have super high upside. At best, he's a third pair defenseman. But he hung in there. He had a perfectly solid game, and we'll see if that gets him a second game. I would assume it does. I guess Victor Mete probably will have to sit for a little bit. But look, if guys like Travis Sanheim are playing as well as they are, if Sean Walker keeps looking as honestly rock solid as he's looked, you can get away with having a guy like Louie Belpedio as your number 5, number 6 defenseman for a little bit. Now, are you going to win a cup with Louie Belpedio as your number 6 defenseman? No, probably not. But it's the early season, and they can hang in for a bit with us.
Charlie, I wanted to talk real quick about Morgan Frost. I don't know if Torts talked about it during the post-game show, but any updates that we can get on Morgan Frost possibly?
Yeah, I mean, there really isn't anything to update. He obviously was scratched again tonight. It's not a question you're going to ask somebody, after a 6-2 win of, hey, why'd you scratch Morgan Frost again? Because it's obvious why he scratched Morgan Frost again, because the team's playing good hockey with these lines, and he's not going to scratch a fourth liner because Morgan Frost isn't a fourth liner, and clearly he doesn't think that Scott Law deserves to be on the fourth line, so he's not going to make that move. And none of the top 9 forwards have played themselves out of the lineup. Like, the one guy who I kept hearing people say, well, maybe you can move Tyson Forster out of the lineup. He hasn't been doing that great, hasn't scored much. I think Tyson Forster, the last 3 games, is showing real signs of trending in the right direction. He had a great pass on Sanheim's goal. He nearly scored in the second period. I thought he was really strong in Dallas. Thought he had a pretty good game in Vegas. But he had another good game tonight. Like, he's not a guy who I want to take out of the lineup, because I think he's trending in the direction of breaking out, and I don't want to arrest that momentum by yanking him out of the lineup for Morgan Frost. Now, Is Morgan Frost going to get back in the lineup eventually? Yeah, eventually it's going to happen. And I do think that, they may be thinking about this the same way they thought about the defense, where, everybody screamed and yelled, why aren't they starting the kids? Why are they in a rotation? And I think they were never going to admit this publicly. I think part of their thought process was, look, it's the NHL, it's hockey. Somebody's going to get hurt. This problem's going to solve itself. I honestly think that may be where they're looking at, the way they're looking at Frost. They're like, look, either the team's going to start losing and then we're going to put him back in because someone is going to play themselves out of the lineup, or someone's going to get hurt because it's hockey. And I have to believe that at some point over the next few games, one of those two things is going to happen. He's going to get back in. But until it happens, I have to guess he's probably still going to be out. Like, I'm not expecting him to play on Saturday because they just kicked the shit out of the Wild 6-2. They hung in with two of the best teams in the West in the 2 games before. There's no reason for Tortorella to change things up. No one deserves to be out of the lineup right now.
Amen.
Charlie, you just mentioned Saturday. I sold it a little at the top of the show, but maybe remind the people what we got going on Saturday prior to the game against the Ducks.
Sure do. So we have our first PHLY Flyers tailgate, 10 a.m. It's going to be in Lot F. I don't know the exact spots yet, but we will have a map for you probably sometime tomorrow. I'm told it's probably going to be somewhere, closer-ish to Xfinity Live, closer to the fences. So somewhere around there in Lot F. Should be a blast. We're obviously doing ticket giveaways. We're going to have a few more of those, both before and then I believe during the tailgate as well. If you just want to stop by and maybe hope you're going to grab some free tickets. We've got our friend Dylan Philaticus on Twitter is going to be cooking some duck for us. It's appropriate given the competition. It just works. There's going to be roasting and grilling some duck in anticipation for the Flyers, maybe roasting and grilling some duck in the afternoon, some Anaheim duck. And then we're just going to have a lot of people. My hope is we have a really big crowd, meet some Flyers fans. I think a big part of this for me in terms of why I wanted to join PHLY, why I wanted to join ALLCITY was the idea of building a community. Me and Bill at BSH, we spent a lot of time working on building that BSH community, and here at PHLY, we just kind of want to continue that, but with even more resources and the ability to, throw these tailgates, to have free drinks, to have giveaways, to have, Dylan come and grill for us. It's just, I'm really looking forward to it. I think the weather is supposed to be really nice. So if you're looking for a good time on Saturday morning, if you're going to be at the Flyers game, stop by. If you're not going to be at the Flyers game, hey, we'd love to have you. Maybe you could win some free tickets and end up at the Flyers game anyway. Pretty sure they're going for pretty cheap on StubHub right now, so wouldn't be too hard.
Game time, Charlie. Game time.
Yeah, you're right. Game time. My bad. Definitely check out Game Time. But in any case, we'd love to see you. Me and Bill will obviously be there saying hi to everybody. Just want to chat hockey, want to meet some new people. Check it out.
Now, before we let you go, Chuck, it's my favorite question to ask, other than playoffs every single time. You mentioned the Tortorella saying, we're going to lose. Don't worry. We're going to lose. Was there anything else funny, anything else ridiculous John Tortorella said? Any good John Tortorella-isms? Did anyone ask about the fucking doll that was behind him? The Night of the Living Dead dummy behind him?
No one asked about the doll. That appears to have been a Flyers thing.
Yeah.
That they are promoting this Goosebumps show.
Oh, I thought that's what. Okay, that makes sense. I've heard it's good.
Yeah, so that, because my first thought was that was just some crazy Flyers fan who snuck it in. But the more I thought about it, they probably would have confiscated it, right? So it makes sense. It was actually an endorsed thing from the Flyers. No, it was a pretty tame sports press conference. They won 6-2. You're not expecting anything crazy. The losses are when you get the funny stuff. So pretty tame towards press conference, but generally speaking, a good one.
All right, thanks a lot, Charlie. We'll let you go. Charlie. I will see you on Saturday, my friend.
Sounds good. Hopefully I see a lot of our listeners there as well.
We better. These people, come on. Well, we give you 5 shows a week. Charlie writes all these damn articles. Everything's free at the tailgate. If you don't show up, I'm going to take it personally, quite honestly. No, I was just thinking about, how would they, have you been to a Flyers game lately? Like, my wife brings a purse that's bigger than this in, and they're like, no, you got to put it in a locker. And, oh, yeah, you can rent the locker. Like, and then you can just bring in this huge dummy. Like, no, that had to be some sort of promotional thing.
But what happens if this becomes a lucky charm? We got to keep bringing
Maybe. I think it's Slappy was the name of the doll in Goosebumps that comes to life. So I guess it's that. What if that becomes our thing? Like, instead of dancing on my own or like a stupid hat that they always wear after a game, like when they win, it's like, here's the victory dummy. Like, that would actually be awesome. Yeah. So show up to the tailgate on Saturday. We'll be there. We'll be there up until game time. And speaking of game time, buying tickets to your favorite event shouldn't be stressful. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. Game Time is the place for last-minute ticket deals. Forget planning months in advance. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. The Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And for the interest of time, FOCO has the absolute best officially licensed gear for all sports and fandoms. It's football and tailgating season. Listen, Red October is over, but they still have the overalls and everything else you need for a game. Hoodies, hats, sunglasses, bags, and so much more. You know, not just team apparel, but accessories, toys, collectibles, novelty items. If you subscribe to our YouTube page, which I assume many of the people watching do,
better.
I filmed some videos from home today. I have a nice background, but I could use a couple extra things. I'm going to get them at FOCO. FOCO always has our back for Philly sports, and they have yours too. Get the best gear around by using the link in our description. And for all non-presale items, use the promo code PHLY. That's promo code PHLY for 10% off. All right, I think we've done pretty much everything.
Well, hold on.
I did want to get to...
We do have a Flyers process update.
A Flyers process update. Okay.
Cutter got a goal today.
All right. Cutter scores again. Listen, that someone mentioned earlier in the chat, like everything they're doing right now, and they're doing it without their top two prospects. Cutter Gauthier is going to be a difference maker. They got him at 5 a couple years ago, and Matvei Michkov has been excellent in the KHL. Like, they do have some star-level players on the way, and as someone else mentioned, like, I can't see it anymore, but it's like, oh, here it is, K-Red. We have 3 second lines, and I'm cool with it. They look a lot like maybe last year's Seattle team, where it was like, no elite guys, but they come at you in waves. Like, oh, you have your third line out? Well, all of our lines are second lines. So we are going to be able to match you for 2/3 of the game. And I do think that's a pretty big advantage that they have right now. And when you add a couple of high-end guys, they're going to be tough to deal with. We did want to, before we get out of here, talk about the Hulu and Buchagras stuff. Yeah. I like John Buchagras a lot as a hockey personality and like highlight guy. I think he's excellent at that. True. I was never a fan of his play-by-play. I think he's taken big steps like this season. I've really enjoyed listening to his couple of broadcasts that they've done so far, but the Hulu thing is driving people insane.
You got a nice phone call from me.
There was like games coming on in like 15 minutes. I'm at home and you're here. It's like, yeah, hey man, where's the game? I was like, oh yeah, I just went through this with like my whole group chat because everyone's pissed. Like, oh, so the Sixers are on TNT and I gotta like download something to get the Flyers. It is very annoying that they have so many different places. Like, all right, sometimes it's going to be on your local network. We have this ESPN and TNT deal. Also, sometimes games are on NHL Network, which, like, nobody has. No. And, oh, yeah, everything is on Hulu. Sometimes it's exclusively there. Like, what? It's your streaming service. but sometimes local games are there. It's very, very annoying the way they set this up, especially if you're someone who likes to go to a bar. Like my wife does Quizzo Tuesdays and Thursdays at different bars around. And there's something like, oh, yeah, I'll go with you. I'll watch the game, have a couple beers. That sounds nice. Nice time. I get there, and they're like, oh, yeah, we don't... Like, we have cable. We don't have 9 streaming services
right here.
Yeah, like, we don't have 9 streaming services at this bar. I'm like, oh, well, I guess I won't be doing a post game tonight. like, it's just very annoying. It seems incredibly short-sighted. Like, obviously, it's like, oh, well, we want the subscription money, but fewer people can watch your product.
Yeah.
And like when they do the Frozen Frenzy the other night, and it's like the best ratings ESPN has ever had for regular season hockey, give it to people. Like, just give it to people and they will watch it. If you make it difficult, there's always something else on. It was the like Sixers opening night tonight. You think if anyone was weighing it, like, oh, well, the Flyers have been good, I want to watch that. Oh, but the Sixers are free. Shit, well, I know what I'm watching. Like, who wouldn't make that decision?
It's an easy decision. No, so obviously, as you know, I'm part of the PHLY Uni team. So right now in the MLS, we have Apple TV strictly. And obviously, we've lost a lot of fans who are just casually trying to get into MLS because of that. I do believe that eventually all these leagues are going to have one specific spot, and you're going to have to subscribe to it in order to watch. It sucks. I'm with you. I loved back in the day. You go to Channel 6, Channel whatever it may be, and you got the game on there. And that's very, very convenient. I just, for myself personally, like, I see hockey and I see kind of like the decline that's kind of gone in popularity. We need, like you just said, you need to put that product out there to as many people as possible. The sport sells itself. Let's be honest. The sport is freaking awesome, all right? But you got to put it into those eyes. And when you restrict it the way you did here, it's just tough, man.
And like at least if it's like one specific place, it's like, okay, you might not be building the fans, but at least the fans you do have nowhere to go to find it. Like my whole group chat of friends, we're all Flyers fans. We all have been our whole lives. And they're like, I don't know where to find the game. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I have to explain it because this is my job. I know where it is. But it is very annoying. But I do see eventually it going the way of the MLS, where it's like, yeah, get the streaming service, because people are cutting the cord a lot, and these mega TV deals are going to go away. Also, it's nice being in Philly because, like, we have Comcast, we have NBC Sports. They own the hockey team. They own the building the Sixers play in. I think they have a small piece of the Phillies after they signed the last TV deal.
Right.
So it's like NBC Sports Philly is going to continue to exist for a long time. Regional sports networks are disappearing everywhere. Like a bunch of our sister stations, like in Phoenix with Bally's, I think there was a whole thing. Yeah. Colorado, it's been a nightmare with altitude and everything for years. This is just what's going to happen to local sports coverage. Like, we're lucky in this town that like our local conglomerate owns a piece at least of all 3 teams.
I like what he said there.
Yeah.
Hockey's for everyone,
marketed to no one. No, that is absolutely true. If you like hockey, like if you are exposed to enough hockey, you will find something you enjoy. Also, there's a good chance you could go years without ever being exposed to hockey.
That's true.
And that's why we're here, honestly. It's why I started the podcasts I did. It's what made Broad Street Hockey great, and it's what's going to make PHLY Flyers continue to grow, because the fuck else are you going to find Flyers coverage? You have to come to us.
Amen.
All right. So that is all the time we have for you on the PHLY Flyers postgame. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for hanging out. If you haven't already, you got to hit that subscribe button. Follow us on YouTube. Subscribe to the podcast. Become a diehard member. And make sure you show up to the tailgate on Saturday. I will know who isn't there, and I will call you out in the chat. Thank you very much to JP. Excellent work in your debut. Thank you to Charlie for joining us. I'm Bill Matz. Have a great weekend, Philly.